Okay, let's look at an example for quiz 8, number 1. All right, so manufacturer of a hospital supplies produces bandages, and annual demand is 320,000, and it costs $20 to store one box for 1 year, and it costs $320 to set up the plant. Right? So how many times a year should the company produce boxes of bandages in order to minimize the total storage and the setup cost? All right, so let's do that. All right, so I'm going to let X to be the number of times the company produced bandages. All right, so let's find the cost function. So C, I'm going to call it the C of X. Right? So the for the setup cost would be, so if you we need to do X setups, so each time it costs $320 to set up, so it's going to be 320 X would be the setup cost. So set cost, right? Then storage cost is going to be, so for this guy is going to be a storage cost. Right, so it costs $20 per box for 1 year, so 20 times, right, times, right, number of boxes they need to store would be, right, so each production they're gonna produce, so the annual demand is 320,000, right, then you're gonna divide by the number of production, so it's gonna be X, right? But on the average, it's gonna store, on the average, it's gonna score 1/2 of that number. So we're gonna divide by 2, right? So let's simplify that. So that's gonna be the cost function for the total cost. So this is going to be 320x. That's nice enough. So I'll just copy that. Right, plus, right, so 2 and 10 cancel out. So that'll give you 10. So it's going to be, oh, actually, I forgot one more. It's a 320,000. So you're going to have 3, 2, right? So I have to put 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, because you have another 0 here over X, right? So this is the cost function, right? Then what we want to do is we're going to take the derivative of the function, right? Let's go ahead and do that. All right, derivative of that is 320, right? Derivative of that would be negative, right? 3, 2, then you have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 over x squared, right? Then we're going to set that equal to 0, right? Oh, actually, before that, it's 320 is in common, so I'll pull that out. So 320, pull that out. So you have 1 minus, so 320 is pulled out. So you're going to have 1, 0, 0, 0, 0 over x squared, right? So we're going to set that equal to 0, right? So we're going to have to make sure that actually we just have to solve this equation. 1 minus, because we can just divide through by, maybe I should write that, divide through by 320, right? That way we have 1 minus 10,000 over x squared equal to 0, right? Then we can just add 10,000 over x squared. That's going to be 1 is equal to 10,000 over x squared, right? Then we can multiply both sides by x squared since I don't like fractions. So you have you have a x squared is equal to 10,000. Right? Then we can just take the square root of both sides. We end up with x is going to be equal to plus or minus square root of 10,000. Actually, that's easy enough, right? It's going to be just plus or minus 100, right? So those are the critical numbers. But since we're talking about the number of times that the company produced bandages, so it's going to be at least one. So we have to produce at least one. So maybe I should say we want to minimize this cost function on, say, starting from 1 and maybe infinity, right? So we don't really have to worry about the negative 100 because we can't do a negative time. So it's going to be positive 100 is the only critical number, right? So let's do a number line. All right, so here's the x. It's going to start from 1. So here's 1. Right, critical number is 100. So I'll put that over here. Right, let's look at the sign of C prime. Right, C prime's right here, so we can try something like 2 or something like that. You can see that 1 minus 10,000 over 2 squared is going to be negative because 1 minus big number, so it's going to be negative. All right, and after that we can try something bigger than 100, so it's x is going to be like 200 or something like that, right? So 1 over 10,000 over 200 square would be 40,000. So it's 1 minus something less than 1, so it's going to be positive, right? So this is nice because now we know that the cost function is decreasing before x equals 100 and increasing after x is 100. Right? So you can see that at the critical number, it's going to achieve the minimum value, right? So we know that x equals 10. So how many times? So 100 times, right? So answer is 100 times. All right, so let's type it in, see if they like our answer. Right, so it's gonna be 100 times a year. Check the answer. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.